It's the new way how the customers are going to use your product. So if as a brand you are not thinking about the agentic commerce, theoretically you are invisible in these areas. So Ashu, before we go more into the deeper details of all these part, why don't we talk about the agenda, that what we are going to discuss, so that everybody is aware about what we are talking.
Yeah. And from my perspective, what we are going to cover are three big things. One is like why agentic commerce and AEO right now. Then we'll go in details into what agentic commerce is. I was speaking with a brand leader day before yesterday, and he quipped a very well-meaning sentence that is, no one knows exactly what agentic commerce is. So we'll try to define agentic commerce the way we understand it, working with hundreds of brands. And then we'll try to give you a practical playbook on how you can be agentic commerce ready. So those are the three main things we'll be covering. We'll have a bonus content, which is a report that we will share. It's a very actionable report that you can deploy, like checklist kind of thing, to be ready. And so you don't need to take notes. All of that will be shared at the end of the call. And we are also going to share the recording, which I started a few minutes late. So you may miss the initial intro, which is not a big deal. And who the audience is, I think the people, if you are working for any brand, online retailer, if you are in the roles of like e-commerce, digital, CX, if you own any part of the revenue or customer experience, this is for you. If you are in tech or on the product side of those companies and wondering how can you drive more acquisition, this is also relevant for you. So this will give you talking points and a roadmap on how you can go and implement. Keep in mind that this is only 20-30 minutes long, so it won't be like a full, but it will give you a very strong high-level overview of where we are going. So all right, Nagendra, now over to you. I want to start with why, from the like your role as a CTO, what has really changed in last 12, 18 months that makes agentic commerce real and not just a AI buzzword?
Yeah. So Asu, basically, very honestly, like we have heard this question many times, but basically the things happen in the last 12 to 18 months, you can see that the push are also coming from the big players. For example, Walmart recently integrated with the ChatGPT. So you can technically go to ChatGPT, Walmart, and then talk to the ChatGPT, and it will start doing the conversation and have the finally completing the checkout on the Walmart products without actually visiting the Walmart. So if you see overall, and everybody now these days use the ChatGPT, they have mentioned that they have around 700 to 800 million daily users, which means that users are using it like a day-to-day by default product. So users are shifting as a daily usage on the ChatGPT. They are browsing the products, doing lot more things. So naturally, they are asking about the products inside these search, basically AI products. And this is a behavior shift we are shifting. That earlier people used to, before internet era came into the picture, we all used to visit the in-person store, and now internet came, and now the AI has come. So all these behavioral shifts are happening, that is driving that how the agentic commerce should be looking that part. But before we move into this part, that what is there, how it should be there, why don't you explain to our audience about this agentic commerce?
Yeah. And before I go there, I just want to highlight like the way these big brands are approaching. I mean, we are in conversation with, we already talked about Amazon, Walmart, eBay, the big players like Stripe, Shopify. Everyone is diving into this. We know some of their roadmaps. Like some is coming now, some are releasing in Q2 as well. And so it's not just a buzzword, and you cannot afford to ignore it if you are a player in this ecosystem. Like in a layman's terms, like how do we define agentic commerce? And the way very simple I can think of it is agents. Right now, the websites and the way the e-com stores are meant is I'm looking for something. Let's say I'm looking for a T-shirt. I search it in a search bar. I get 500 products, 20 filters, and then I have to filter through all of this like myself one by one. In agentic commerce, imagine you have a sales associate for each of your visitors that are visiting your site. And so they are your best in-store associate. They know everything about your product. They know the pricing, the availability, the stock, the color, which occasion it's a fit for. And you can just say, I'm looking for a wedding outfit for a Mexican wedding during June. And it knows that you're talking about summer. It knows that in Mexico there is a certain dress you are supposed to wear. So all of those things it'll know, and it'll recommend you 5 products that you can go and browse. And so that's how I think of like agentic commerce, where there is an agent shopping for you, agent browsing for you, and bringing you the things that you need. And so let us break it down. If I described the whole scenario now again, but if
Yep.
you can like actually break it down for our customers, for our listeners, what the actual steps are in a agentic flow, so that we can start talking about them one by one.
Yeah. So I will not go super technical, just more on the overflow part of the overviews, like how on the technical part it is there. That so think about an agent, a virtual person who is understanding your intent and the constraint. So when you ask about like I'm looking the shoes under $100, which is comfortable for running, so it's try to understand your intent and the constraint, and then it picks the right products across all the catalogs it has, which is connected to this system. Basically, if you see what the agentic commerce, they are operating into two ways. One into this chat GPT and Perplexity, and another is on your website, which I think that we are going to cover later into the discussion. So basically, it picks up all the products from the catalogs, try to find the most important match, check their stock availability, and then it adds to the cart. Not important, the one more important part is that it's not just a one-time agent. This agent also has a memory, which means that if you have asked for 3, 4 times the shoes, color and preferences and all those parts, so you don't have to explain it each and every time. The agent knows that, okay, I should like the white color, the more comfortable, the spongy shoes. So next time it automatically goes into that direction of the product. And eventually, just like a human agent, it also try to find the best offer for you. It's not just go and get the price, try to find the more promotions, loyalty programs, the shipping routes, which is more favorable to your destination, and eventually just add to the cart. And if you say yes, it just do the agentic checkout using the card token and all, which basically I think required one time, first time you have to add a card and then still do the checkout those things.
I think, yeah. So just to summarize, you talked about 7 things here, just to like create a checklist for our listeners. One is in agentic commerce, the way we think is like it understands your intents, it picks the right products from the catalog once it knows the intent. So that's the second one. Third one is checks your stocks and price in real time so that it gives the right one. Can add it to the cart, can apply your like cash, like loyalty rewards, whatever, can suggest upsells, complimentary items, and finally it can do the final checkout, take the payment and do the checkout as well. So those are the 7 steps to an agentic commerce.
Yes. And actually, we were just talking about the second part that actually there is a fine line when we talk about the agentic commerce and the agentic thing is that how the brand should think about bringing that on their website or having to also thinking about into the search engines, which is the AI search engine, ChatGPT and Perplexity. So
Yeah.
can you explain to our audiences about these things?
Yes, and that's a great question. So we can think of all the agentic commerce 3 broad buckets, and one of them is B2A, which is business to agent. And business to agent essentially is how your product appears in third party AI agents and how
Right.
they connect with it. Second is agent. We are calling it agent to consumer, which is your own, and the final, which is more futuristic, is agent to agent, and we'll cover the other two as well. Again, business to agent, agent to consumer, and agent to agent. Agent to agent is more futuristic. We'll come to that later. Let's talk about business to agent first. And, why don't you walk us through what does a business to agent actually look like for a brand team? What can they do to basically be ready for business to agent?
So basically, business to agent part is that let's suppose there is this Chat GPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and think about these as a I have to say that search AI search engine, which is a better way to search about. And when I'm talking, I'm exploring the products there. How is my products going to, or how my products would appear there? So you should be asking two types of the question here to get ready for these things into the B2A. That how is it has a 2 steps. One is that the search engine specific. I'm using the word search engine because to make this more familiar. Yes, AI search means Chat GPT, Perplexity, or the Gemini. So when I find saying that, okay, I'm looking for shoes under less than $100. So first you need to be your products or the product pages need to be in the clean state so that the AI find scroll it. Which what I mean is that in simple terms, let's suppose that your product information is hidden within the multiple layers that requires a couple of CTA clicks and all those. And another
Taxonomy is not right.
taxonomy is not right. You don't have a clear information about the products. Products images are hidden behind a couple of pop-ups, dialogues, and all this part. So when these AI engines are crawling your website, they're not able to crawl the information. Although you see that visually it is making sense, but the AI engines see your products in a different way. So you need to make sure that your products are product pages basically are in a really in a state that is fast to load.
Nagendra, that sounds like SEO best practice. Is it same?
Honestly, that is actually that you bring out the very interesting part is the AEO and the geo optimization we are hearing now these days. And it is a more of an extension of the SEO. And everybody think that if I don't, I can directly jump to AEO and geo optimization without optimization of the SEO.
I see, got it. Yeah, and we are going to talk about it. So that's let's go through the B2A and then we'll come to the AU as well. So sorry to interrupt.
No, that's a pretty interesting part. And honestly, like there's so many things to cover. So we literally have to at least cover this thing. And the second part is that is this product. So now the product is crawled. Does the product has the enough content that is matching to the user intent? For example, when you say that the shoes, the images are of the right quality or not? Does it has all the proper annotation and all? Although these AI models are super smart to do this, all this annotation itself, but the more information in a structured way you provide it to these AI models, basically on your PDP, because these automatically get crawled, it will be automatically will be put into your system. And the ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini are making their effort to directly integrate with the APIs. So you may also have to be think about how to make your API ready for your catalogs fetching, order information, checkouts, and all those things, which already ChatGPT Perplexity has published their developer documentation how to handle this part. Honestly, this is more, we are going into the deeper details of the technical discussion. I think more could be like the second part of the thing is that. So we talked about the B2A, where the businesses like a ChatGPT Perplexities are handling. The second part, Ashu, which you talked about that how can brand have the similar agentic experience on their website?
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, the A2C is obviously the area where we play, like how you make your own brand properties. Maybe it's your site, it's your app, even your social media like Instagram DMs and Instagram profile. How do you interact with your consumers? And is there any agent that is powering your consumer experiences? The key for me is the baseline, the foundational work that you do is the same, whether you are preparing for your for an agent to interact with your product, which is the B2A, or the this one, which is your own agents interacting with your consumers. And I'm curious to see from your experience, like what are some of the early use cases that you're seeing in this area where the brand owned agents interacting with consumers and that are moving the needle for the brands.
Yeah, so brand owned agents mean that these agents are sitting on the brand websites and helping the customer to basically convert to the visitors to the finally convert at the checkout part. So one very obvious example is the conversational search. So if you see about the search, earlier it used to be the finding the right product by just typing the keywords. But in the conversational search, you are able to explain your requirement in more layman terms, proper plain English on the corresponding languages, and the AI is able to understand your intent and return you the right product. Another part is that giving the more product details information. For example, whether this sunscreen cream is suitable for my skincare or skin concern or not. And the third part is how to literally find guide you to have the couple of questions to find the right product. For example, if you go to the physical store and you say that, look, I'm looking for a mattress. So they just don't say that, okay, look, this is your mattress kit. They'll ask some good question, greet you, and they'll ask a question. What is your requirement? What is your budget constraint in any particular branch? And then they guide you to the section or the category and the list of this thing. So these are the common things that is obviously the first few use cases that could be possible with the A2C cases with the agent on this website. But then there are a number of the futuristic options are there. Ashu, you can
Yeah.
walk me through the futuristic options these agent can be there.
Yeah. And this is to me is very exciting. I mean, non-e-commerce version is that, I have my own agent in a dating pool and everyone has their own dating agents and they are like dating, trying to talk to each other. And once they have found a match, then the humans come in. So imagine the same thing in an online commerce scenario where you have your like own agent, like let's say a agent talking to a grocery AI. And it knows like what are the things you have missing in your household, what kind of groceries you buy, and it will go and it will see if you the last time you bought a sugar was 2 months ago, and every month you have to buy a sugar. So I'll just go and buy the sugar for you. So these agents are doing, not even asking you, they're just doing automated shopping for you on a regular basis. In case of a grocery, if you just want, let's say the another scenario is travel planning, you are going on a trip and you just say, I'm going on a trip, this is the budget, this is where I'm going, these are the dates, go and find a hotel, a flight, car rental, everything, and the AI is doing it for you. So
So actually, you are using the word Ashu, agentic commerce and agentic checkout. I'm hearing that. Why don't you first? When I heard these terms, I thought that okay, these are almost the same, but I think that these are different.
yeah, no, I think that's a good call out. So for the way I understand it, like agentic checkout is only a piece of the overall agentic commerce. I don't know how you think about it, but for me, you can be agentic commerce 80-90% of the way there, even if you don't have agentic checkout enabled, which is a specific piece of taking the final payment automatically. Correct. Am I in the right? Like, what's your thought on that?
Basically, the payment is a pretty complex thing, and already we see that everybody who wants to touch the payment think about stage rollout and all those things. And we feel that the agentic commerce, you start from the agentic commerce, and eventually you bring the agentic checkout into your agentic commerce. So agentic commerce is the bringing the right product. Convince agentic commerce is more about starting from the convincing the customer that this is a right product for you based on the requirement, and the checkout is converting that intention into the final checkout.
Awesome. Yeah. So let's go into the very actionable kind of like I want to give our listeners a checklist of how to be ready for agentic commerce. And then we can talk a little bit about the AEO as well, which I know some of our listeners have been asking questions about too. And so now this all sits on a very, both the three use cases we talked about, which is your own agents or LLM agents or agent to agent, they all needs to be, there needs to be some foundational plumbing. What are the basic technical things the brands have to do to be agent ready?
So we earlier talked about this AI briefly around the AEO or the GEO, and then the SEO part is this part. Honestly, these all are related. So first of all, like your paid PDP pages needs to be in the clean state, which means I say that the PDP pages should have the right tags, the right product information, and the most important part, it must have the list of the FAQs, which means the frequently asked question in a
Yeah.
right format that the basically when these AI crawlers crawl the information, they are able to crawl this part. And the second part is that the information should be consistent, which means that what the products you are selling, it's not that you assume it and make it this thing.
Okay. So that's the foundation one, which is have the data clean, crawlable, name it right, etc. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Once the data is in good shape, what's the next?
So basically, there's a second party coming into the picture that where these Perplexity and ChatGPT are already trying to integrate with your catalogs directly, which means that they will not crawl your website. This is the first step which we talked about.
Yeah.
So you have to have the APIs. Basically, I have to return you the list of the catalogs available, the order status, the checkout. I think the checkout will be a little bit more complex because you want to have a secure way to have the token where the company's stripes is coming into the picture to hold this part. But the first two part is that where the you expose with some concept called the MCP. I don't want to go into the MCP part right now, where you basically expose as an interface that these agents can handle and take care of them.
So are you recommending brands should be building an MCP server themselves?
So for the Shopify and all, I believe that they are already thinking about the starting standard work. But building MCP is a pretty hard work. I have to say that they can build things from in-house, or they can integrate with a platform like Alhena, where this comes automatically when you just connect their standard.
So just to clarify, said like the one, the data needs to be clean, crawlable. The second one is about how do you enable, like, let's say automated checkout for agents. And for that, either you can build an MCP yourself if you have an in-house development team. Stripe is coming up with its own open protocol, which is called what is called Agent Commerce Protocol, ACP. But that also needs some internal work, or Seamless plugin. You can partner someone like us, and will enable that readiness for you. So, okay, so we talked about two foundations. One is agent readable product data. Second is agent-friendly checkout and like crawling through automated MCPs. Is there anything else we are missing?
I think these are the major two things are there that will make you to the ready for your agentic commerce part. The third part, I think if you can do that part, you can just see that the tracking part, whether you are getting a traffic from this chat GPT or the perplexity or not. So usually you can right now, if you can just see that how much traffic you are going to do, that is the UTM parameters. So whenever you receive the traffic from your perplexity and chat GPT, you receive the params and you can just see that. And I can already see that in one of our all the customers that are on Alhena, they do receive some traffic and it's still going on.
And I would add to that you don't have to like take all of that in one. So let's say you cleaned up your product, you made it available through API. Even if you don't have MCPs or agentic checkout ready, what you can do to test the waters is have your own branded agents, which is the second case we talked about, like agent to consumer. Build your own branded agents and start having that experience, the agentic experience on your site for your own users, and see how it's performing. And that will give you a very early taste of what it's like to go agentic. And honestly, I don't know anyone who has taken the full step to go all the way. So you have to take mini steps on the way to the larger goal. Anyways, okay. So now I'm going to talk about the last and final topic of the day, which is AEO, answer engine optimization. Basically, how you make sure AI co-pilots can find and actually favor your brand, because they have access to all the brands. Nagendra, over to you. If you have to give sort of a like checklist to the brands on 3 point, let's say a 3.4 point AEO checklist, what would be on it on the checklist?
So basically, like it is honestly, it's all about the game of the. Sorry, I think that this problem. So it's all about the game of the data, like how clean your data is. So this is a basic fundamentals.
Yeah, I think I cannot stress it enough. You have already started.
But I'm now going into more into this details of that part, that where the data is milled at. So first, basically, that you have a schema and feeds. Basically, the way how you are storing the data, showing the data on your front end. So that schema should be in the nice way. This is like a schema tags these are well-defined schema tags for the e-commerce probably, and the FAQ that fits into the Google merchant and the marketplaces. All these things fit from there. So you have to optimize for that part, and then you have to answer the real user's question in the FAQ. So it should not be any hypothetical questions and you randomly come up with this part, because these are the questions that the users are asking on these answers search engine queries. And if these questions are technically mapping, that most likely AI will rank your products higher in their search part. And then finally you have to monitor the machines, which means that how do you monitor that your things are working fine or not. Periodically ask the AI tools. So you can go to the chat GPT, ask about your brand category, and see that if you're showing up or not. So AI engines, they crawl very frequently. You keep updating it. You can go to the chat GPT Perplexity, ask about the specific product and see that it is coming into your feed or not. So data. So basically, if you talk about the first number is the data part, second part is the clear content, and the third part is the testing periodically on the chat GPT and the Perplexity.
And there are certain tools that can help you with
Right.
that as well. Yeah, there are many third-party tools available. We are not associated with any, so I'm not going to recommend, but I'm happy to. If you need recommendations on that, I'm happy to as well.
Cool. So Ashu, what's the next step you will suggest to the brands?
I think we are at time. So what I'm gonna say is, just wrap it up and highlight the summary that we have. If you have a to-do list, let's say you are walking into office on Monday morning next week, and your boss is asking, okay, how do we be agent ready? What do we do? So here is a quick list. One, identify where you want to play. I think we talked about 3 scenarios: a business to agent, agent to consumer, and agent to agent. Agent to agent is futuristic, so leave that apart. But I would highly recommend picking a lane, either business to agent and agent to consumer. Actually, both, because they are parallel and you can do both very easily. So pick your lane, B2C or A2C or both. Now, make sure your product data, which you have been stressing, Nagendra, is ready for that. So it's clean, the taxonomy is there, who is fixing it, that is baseline. Now, whether you want to go with the checkout or not, the agentic checkout, that's up to you. So maybe it's for future, but you want to make sure the right tech leaders in your company or the right partners are starting to get identified so that you can be ready. It's coming. And so you have to be ready. but you don't have to be ready today. You can be ready in 6 months and you still won't miss the boat on agentic checkout. But start thinking about it and planning like who are the key players that you need to partner with. Finally, start playing with the agentic, at least on your brand owned properties, so that you know how this thing whole works. And that will allow you to control how it also appears in the on the AEO side as well. So those will be my 4 point checklist if you had to share it with anyone in your team.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty right. I can count on this.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it's not like something that is 5 years out. It's the biggest players are already taking very, very big steps. And the question is whether your brand is ready to show up when an AI starts shopping. That's the agentic checkout, but you should start making moves right away. And with that, we are going to wrap it up. We really, really appreciate the engagement. Now, I think we should take at least one question today. And I see there are many questions that are coming in. So I'm gonna pick the questions. Let me see what questions are coming up. Just give me. Yeah. So one question is: we are on Shopify plus a couple of payment providers, and a lot of our promo logic lives in custom apps. In that context, how realistic it is to support the kind of agent-driven cart and order creation you showed, which is consistent with promotions and seasonal discounts. Nagendra, do you want to take that?
Yeah. So basically, I will go with that. If you just have, I'll go with a very simple part that if you're on the Shopify, then it does not require a lot more work. But in this case, since you have a multiple products catalog, you have to create the API, one unified API. And this is not honestly like a lot of work and exposed by the MCP. That will expose all the products via one system, which means that you have a one API behind the scene. You can connect with the multiple catalogs. So you expose, and then you have a multi other endpoints that can another exposed by the MCP. And MCP is although it's now a new term, but it's a pretty straightforward standard practices principles to unify it that AI search engines can accept it that part. So basically, TLDR, you need to unify it in a one interface, but behind the scene, you talk to these multiple catalog.
Got it. And we have more questions, but we are really out of time. So thanks, Nagendra, and thanks everyone on who has joined us today. As we promised, we'll share the recording at the end of the call, and also a very nice report that our team has prepared. A very actionable report which goes into details of what this is. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone.